Hi there folks. So yesterday I harvested some medwar out here from this small medwar tree, but while I was doing that I noticed that I forgot to trim the sage which we have growing at the base of it, and now I'll show you how I do that. It's a very quick and simple process, and while doing that I'll explain the reasons for yearly trimming the sages. So what we have here is a sage bush growing at the base of our medlar tree. As I explained in a previous video, all of our fruit trees were planted with perennial herbs at the bases as a type of permaculture fruit tree guilds, and it has worked very well so far. Even though it hasn't eliminated all weeds, it still keeps them very low density and pressure. So one of the things that we do each year is trim all those perennial herbs back to the ground. The reason for that is that if you leave the sage like this, it will overwinter okay. Maybe the tips will die off, but it can still be growing next spring, and this bush will get just bigger and bigger and taller all the time. But the problem is that the base of those branches, they will grow less and less vigorously, and the growth will be moved upwards towards the tips of the plant, which means that you're getting a constantly bigger and higher plant, and this is not what I really want from those plants. I want them to be low, maybe below your knees level, and by trimming them low to the ground, you're actually promoting them to grow not so much upwards as sideways, because they all the trimming makes them produce more and more side branches. So I'll just snip a branch here to show you. You can see here that the side buds have already started developing. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 side buds on this small branch. If you leave that, those side buds will try to develop, but most of the growth will be concentrated at the growing tips, which is how most perennial plants, certainly trees, behave. So those buds will not make large stems nor very large leaves next year, and most of the growth will come upwards. While if you come and just snip the plant here, like that, all the side buds which are left, they will start grow very vigorously, and each of those will become like 50 centimeters of fresh green growth, which is the best piece of the herb to harvest for your tinctures or your herbal teas. Those woody stems, they have much lower essential oil and active ingredient content compared to the new growth and the leafy stuff. So basically what we want from our sage plant and all the sages which we have around the trees is not the woody stems, but the spring growth. And we usually harvest that in midsummer, when it's about to start flowering. This is when it's at peak volatile compound content, so most of the essential oils are concentrated at that period. And afterwards, after we harvesting it, we trim it down low as well, and it regrows at that size, and we can harvest that a second time if we need to do so. But we obviously didn't need, because we have lots of sage from previous years. So without looking at the buds or anything, I just come with my pruners and just trim everything low, because this will also promote buds from the root to begin sprouting, and this makes the whole plant wider and wider each year. In 4 years, you saw the size of this clump. What I planted here was a single root, a single stem. You can see how much it grew in those years, and I think that maybe in 2 or 3 more years it will encircle the whole tree. It's a nice ground cover. It doesn't allow much to grow through it. A dense bush. The only problem is that snails sometimes hide in here, but at least that makes them easy to locate and remove. This is a part of self-seeded pumpkin which grew here, and I just let it grow along trail up the medwar. Those tips I can harvest and make some herbal tea with them. We have lots of this dried, but still it's nice to have some fresh in the tea. I just removed the leaves which are starting to die off, and I'll just make a small bunch of those and bring inside. And also they are very aromatic, so if you keep them near the fireplace or on your radiator, they will act like air freshener of sorts. You can see how low I cut whole the whole pile, the whole clump here. The biomass which I harvested will be just used as mulch here, and this will probably be gone by spring, as usually is, because this is the third year I think which I'm doing this. You can also gather some of those tips like that, like a small bouquet, and keep it in a vase, and it will keep fresh for at least a couple of weeks and smell very nice. So that was all for today, folks. I picked a small bouquet of sage plants for a vase inside, and I'll see you tomorrow.